just a train wreck.
Yeah. We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, we just kind of, and we probably should introduce who our guest is today. So,
welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome back to the Jabs podcast. John, Jamie, and Stipe here, and we're joined by our guest today, Steve Lemme, who is a member of the Broken Lizard comedy group.
Boom.
You know him from Super Troopers, Beer Fest, and currently Tacoma FD, which I looked this up, so I made sure I said it right. The new season premieres Thursday, September 16th. And Steve, welcome.
Thank you. What's up? And look at this. I brought my fire department coffee.
Wow.
Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
You know, see, like I have all the different mugs. I've got the black mug, the white mug, the dark blue mug, the red mug. This one doesn't get enough love. The one with like the frosty ceramic top.
Well, first off, I have one mug, which is bullshit. I have my own coffee with them, and I get one mug.
I bet I have more. I have like 8 mugs and like 40 bags of coffee.
I'll make it a phone call tomorrow. So it's be nice.
I was going to say somebody's a little bit higher on the food chain.
Wow. Well, I mean, look at them. Yes, we got. I mean, yeah, I believe it. Okay.
I don't have a deal with Modelo though, so you know.
Yeah. Well, listen, I had the hookup when I came down. Got you guys the hookup.
Yeah, crew appreciated all that beer.
Yeah.
So obviously, Steve, you're on Tacoma FD. Stipe, can we say that you're on the show?
I was in the trailer.
Yeah, I was going to say you were in the trailer, so we can actually say that's the show that you were on. So real quick, just how you guys met and how you got tied up with Tacoma FD. And
do you want to start or would you like me to start?
I mean, I can tell it. You tell it from your perspective, and then you went first, and then
okay. I pretty much bulldogged my way onto the show. I pretty much was like, "Hey, you're having me on the show. Good luck with that." That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Like, okay, sweet.
That's my version. Somebody said, "Yeah, the heavyweight UFC champion is threatening your life if you don't put him on the show." So he's hired. Let's do it.
Simple, right?
Yeah.
That's how I got married.
That's how you do everything, Steve. That's how you got your podcast.
That's just true.
No, you know what I found out. I guess I don't know what happened. There was like on Instagram or something. All I know, Gabe and who plays Ike on Tacoma FD and Eugene who plays Andy on Tacoma FD are huge UFC fans, and Stipe is their favorite fighter, and they were just going fucking bananas. And they like texted me. They were like, "Dude, Stipe, this guy is a UFC heavyweight champ. He says he's a big fan of the show. He wants to be on the show. We got to get him on the show." And we had just wrapped the season. And so as a surprise, when we had an after show, you remember that Stipe talk home? Yep. And we reached out to you and had you as a surprise guest on the after show when Gabe was the guest. And I felt bad for him because he was so geeked up when you popped up on the Zoom. And he was up in Canada with shitty internet service, and his face he was like, "Whoa!" And then his face froze like that, and he couldn't even participate in the Zoom, and his face was just frozen in the corner. And we chatted for a while, and then you and I started talking about possible ideas for an episode, and then Gabe and I started talking about ideas for an episode, and then and then Kevin and I settled on what the episode was going to be. And then you agreed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
who would not want to agree to that?
The real question is, what level of professionalism did Stipe have on set?
What you guys have going here right now, like talking about like kicking each other's ass and massage your balls and all that stuff. That's kind of the way it is on our set. Even with the girls are like, "Yeah, I've got big balls and I'll kick your ass." And it was kind of the reverse. Like Stipe showed up. First of all, he kept calling me sir, which was uncomfortable because like I was just like, I'm 5'8", he's 6'4", and the heavyweight champ. And
I don't know if you saw last March, but some guy knocked me out.
I did. We had unfortunately we had the whole cast here at my house for a big party.
Well, I can never come back on the show again or any parties.
These are John's favorite stories when people talk about this kind of stuff.
That is not true at all. Jamie,
you have an erection right now.
I never bring it up. Jamie, on the other hand, any opportunity he has to throw Stipe under the bus about his last fight, he takes it.
Well, sorry for interrupting.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, listen, it's Stipe. We had chatted on the phone a bunch of times. We had emailed a bunch of times, and then but then he came and with COVID, he had to quarantine, so we didn't actually meet until I think you came in the day before for like your costume fitting.
Yeah, the fitting. Yeah. Yep.
And then we chatted for like 5 minutes, but we were shooting, and I was directing, so I had no free time at all. And then you came in the next day. Again, Stipe keeps calling me sir, and he's towering over me. It's just a little weird, And but then I have to say, like, Stipe was very easy to direct, and he was super professional in terms of, I'm not even blowing smoke up your ass. Like he was like, whatever you need me to do. And I could tell he was a little nervous at first. And because we do a lot of improv and stuff too. And so we actually sat down and talked about like acting technique and like different philosophies of it. And we had lunch together, Stipe and I.
It was great. I was real candid. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, we just talked about stuff, and I could see Stipe opening up as we went on. And like, look, my job is to get the performance. I'm not going to move on until I get it. And I got it. And you guys are going to be surprised when Stipe acts in this thing. I'm going to predict this right now. ESPY nomination.
Like that, yeah.
I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I like that at all. I like that a lot.
You weren't blowing smoke up his ass right up until that last part. Yeah. Now we're going to have to hear about this for the next couple of months.
Whatever. For the rest of your life, pretty much.
But
better get that ESPY.
You have to understand it from my point of view. It's like I've just met Stipe, and I don't know if he's like, because one of the more experienced guys on the crew is like, do you want to get some stunt guys? There's a scene where Stipe roughs some guys up.
Weird.
You want to get stunt doubles for those guys? I was no, that's okay. And they're like, well, that like professional fighters get very excited when they start to like get rough. And I was like, we're gonna be okay. And the first take where he was
bro. The first take. This is legit the first time we're doing this.
Yeah. Right. He hit one of the regulars in the face.
Jesus.
The best part was they're in the other room.
Yeah.
Like doing another scene, and because it's like combined. And I'm like, oh my God, I hit him. I'm sorry. And they're dying of laughter. They think it's the greatest thing ever happened. Like, I was like, I feel so much better right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, Steve, you mentioned you guys improv on the show a lot. And so my question was going to be, what's the balance between improv and the script? But then obviously Stipe punching somebody in the face is his version of improv. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. No, well, it was funny because like what Stipe was saying, it's like the camera was in another room. Because what it is you're supposed to see him. He's kicking somebody's ass in the far background, and so he was in the apparatus room, and we're in the break room with the camera. And on the first take, he's supposed to hit the guy open hand, and the guy flies off screen, and he hits him, and from the other room, Stevie goes, "Oh my God, I hit your guy!" And he's looking into the room, and we start laughing because we think it's a prank.
Dude's laying on the ground bleeding.
Well, he was laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And Steve is going, I'm not kidding. I hit him. I really hit him. I'm so sorry. And he keeps apologizing. And all of a sudden I see crew members in that room start crowding around. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. First thing happened. But it was just his middle finger grazed against the guy's nose.
Yeah.
But it was that strong and powerful, Stipe, that it knocked him down.
I'm not going to close my fist anymore. I'm just slapping.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the new striking technique.
Slap that ass. Go with. Okay. No, but we were talking about when I started doing the first day I was there, the first part, I was real nervous because I just didn't want to mess up. I was having fun, but everyone was so great. But also I wanted to be on point because I am, Jim. I want to make sure everything's right. And so we sat down for lunch, and the best thing he ever said to me was like, "Hey, listen. We do a scene, it takes 2-3 hours. Hey, guess what? The first one you might do might be the best. But guess what? We're still going to be here for 2-3 hours. So just improv, do what you got to do." And so after that, man, I was open floodgates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Stipe had some, I wish I could put footage up here. Like the Stipe, we've got Stipe doing like an Irish jig on camera. Do you remember that, Stipe?
Yes.
I think all of us remember
We've all
when he
seen
won in
him.
Cleveland.
Yeah, we've all seen
When he
him.
won his fight in Cleveland, he danced around.
No,
That was my
second.
Apparently, you don't watch my
I thought
fights.
that was the one in Cleveland.
No.
Apparently, you don't watch my fights.
That's all right. I sprained my
You
ankle
just
at the
use me.
Cleveland fight.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Stipe, my best friends, like I would say 99% of my best friends have not watched Tacoma FD.
Wait, what's that?
Really?
99% of my friends have not watched my TV show.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're over it. You know, it's like, I'm not kidding. It's like, I wouldn't even surprised if they had it. A lot of them haven't seen Super Troopers too. But I know like some of my very best friends who I live with here in LA, like not just like the guys across the country back in New York who I haven't seen in a while, but like guys who I spend every weekend with. I still give them shit. I'm like, you know, it's actually a pretty good show. You should watch it sometime.
We signed for another season. I don't know if you know that. So we're doing pretty good.
I could cut somebody some slack with Tacoma FD, kind of new, whatever. But if somebody has not seen Super Troopers, that's blasphemy and fuck up. That's terrible. I don't know if you know this, Steve, but that is still on heavy rotation at every fire department across America. Super Troopers
and pregame and pre-fight rituals.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I love that. In fact, I remember Stipe, you told me that you had your fight.
I think I texted you before the fight.
No, well, it was
after. I was like, well, we just watched Super Troopers too.
It was the fight before DC.
Yeah.
After that one, you and I texted. I texted to congratulate you, and you had Super Troopers 2 on beforehand, which was cool. You know, it's like when we started, like, you know, back in 2001 when we made the first Super Troopers. That was, you know, the first movie. We sold it at Sundance, and we only ever wanted it to be on one movie screen. You know, that was our dream at that point. We made an independent film. We didn't have a distributor, and we sold it to 20th Century Fox, and they put it on. I think it was like 1,800 screens, and but really it got a life on DVD. And then it started we started finding out that in the military, like a lot of troops overseas were watching that movie, and then our movies after that, like Beer Fest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We had no idea that was a possibility. And we would get, you know, fan letters that were like, thank you, you know, you got us through the Gulf War, you know, thank you. Or not the Gulf War, that's 1991. So that's a lie. But
listen, I believe you, it's okay.
No, I've got a thing right here. But and then, you know, we found out that a lot of, you know, obviously cops like Super Troopers, but, you know, a lot of first responders, just what they love is comedy. They need comedy to cut the tension.
Yeah.
And that was something we had no idea about. So it's cool to hear that, you know, some of those movies are still watched in the houses and stuff.
Not to, I know you got Tacoma FD and probably other projects going on. So not to dwell on Super Troopers, but before, like when you guys were making that movie or writing it or whatever, was there a lot of research done into first responders, into the life of a police officer, actual state troopers, anything like that? Or was it all off the cuff and you just accidentally nailed it?
I'm going to say we accidentally nailed it.
Okay. All right.
You know, there's a scene where Thorny, played by my friend Jay Chandra Sekar, comes running in and he's like, hey, we got a 1092. And that's when we were writing the movie, we were like, let's just fuck around with that stuff. Cause nobody ever realizes what cops are saying when they're like, we got a 43 and, you know, and so I suppose now we would probably research what the different calls are.
Yeah.
Back then we were like, 1092. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just messing around.
Yeah.
And, with firefighters though, with Tacoma FD, we actually did a ton of research because we didn't want to, you know, one thing that happened with Super Troopers was we met a bunch of Vermont highway patrolmen. Like most policemen love the movie, but then when we went to Vermont, we thought we were going to be taken in with open arms, and a lot of the highway patrolmen there were like, "Fuck you guys."
It went the other way.
Yeah, never going back to Vermont.
Well, they were like, you know, for the longest time, we would sit there. You'd have somebody pulled over, and people would drive by and yell "meow" at you.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That's fantastic.
And they were like, you totally undermined our authority with that movie and made it fucking hard for us. People just kept throwing quotes at us. Nobody took us seriously. And we were like, oh God, we didn't see that coming either. When we were, the movie would be reviewed, then it would be about they would say 5 bumbling highway patrolmen, who are bad at their jobs. And we realized that we didn't want, like, we respect first responders immensely, and we didn't want them to be portrayed that way. We weren't going for like Police Academy. We wanted them to be taken seriously. And certainly when we started to make the show about firefighters, that was the first and foremost thing, was like, firefighters, there's no bumbling firefighters. Firefighters are prepared. They only start fucking around when the station is clean, when the station is prepped 3 times over, ready to go, and then when boredom sets in. Right? Maybe not your station.
Not.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier, but you're 100% right, man. And there's nothing worse, I can tell you, as a fireman. There is nothing worse than watching a show or a movie that is supposed to portray firemen, Chicago Fire, that is complete and utter bullshit. Where you can just pick apart. Like, I can't even sit through 5 minutes of that show because I'm like, it's all bullshit.
And the worst part is when you're with someone that has no clue. They're like, is that really what happens? You're like, you cannot, like, I cannot tell you they had a heart. I don't know if they're having a heart attack. You don't know. I can't just acknowledge it, right? Images, like if the EMS call, like I saw a couple other things like that. Like, this person's having some crazy thing happen to them. Like, how would they can't know that? That's impossible. You can't just look at someone and just know it. You know,
the magic of TV.
It is. It is.
Well, luckily for us, we don't do any of that stuff. Like, because we're a comedy, so we're never going to have anybody having a cardiac arrest. Like, for us, it's like there's a dude who's OD'd on some club drug, or like some dude is having an anxiety attack, or some dude, smoked too much pot, whatever it is. It's like, it's all the jokey stuff.
Yeah.
And like, and also like what you'll see, what we do, if you pay attention to it, you might not notice what's going on, but we always we show up at the scene and we take it seriously for 1 second.
Yeah.
Says, oh yeah, the guy, he's okay. He's going to be okay. And then we're like, and now we'll start fucking around.
Yeah. It's like that little YouTuber, Kevin's son, the YouTuber little kid.
Yeah. Exactly.
Stuck in a hole and he kicks him. He's like, what the, it's just like, it's just watching that. It's just great. And he comes to the station and like, it's ghetto. Have you seen it? Oh no, you haven't probably.
Nah, I've seen clips of it. I haven't seen
That's just a lie. Just say no.
No, I've seen clips of it.
Fucking Stipe. He's throwing you under the bus.
That's fine.
That's what I do.
I've seen clips of it. That's about it.
That's the thing. It's like, what you should do is be like, you know what, Stipe, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. But we know that that's impossible.
It is. So
I pray for that day. I pray for it.
He really just wants to punch John in the face.
100%.
Like, it's
Stipe wants to punch everybody in the face. When I felt bad when you came out to shoot, you were with your was he like your strength trainer?
Yeah, little Bobby. Yeah.
Little Bobby.
Well, they like real quick. You guys like, I was like, hey, is there anything he hangs out there? You're like, yeah. They gave him like a little trailer. He's sitting there, feet up, like working, doing his little homework, and I'm like, oh, must be nice. He's like, I'm good. He's like, you guys give him dinner and lunch. He's like, what the hell's going on here?
When you say a little trailer for Bobby,
like it was like, so he had to use my bathroom, but no, it wasn't like a huge one. It was like had a mirror, little couch. No, it was good size, but like enough for him to do his work. We were just like wanted to relax. But I mean, I wanted like I had a big nice little trailer with like a bathroom and stuff, which I definitely dumped in multiple times.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Stipe, and all you did was threaten to beat him up. Every time you guys were out, when you let him out of the trailer, he'd come out, you're like, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. That was pretty much the extent of the conversation.
I'm like, don't embarrass me. I'll beat the shit out of you. He's like,
that's fight week.
That's his fight week. I fired him like 4 or 5 times during fight week because he just says some off the wall stuff. Like, you got to stretch. I'm like, shut your face. You're done. Get out of here. You're off payroll. So I always say payroll. He's just like, you're an idiot. He just looks at me like I'm a dumbass.
Well, the other funny thing was that like a lot of guys, when word spread with the local fire department and the highway patrol, their station's a block away from where we shoot. And all these guys just started showing up to meet Stipe. And I actually felt bad. Like, you were shooting, and so you get to walk away from them. But I felt bad for your trainer, because pretty much every first responder that came up to him, and a lot of crew guys, and some of our actors even would be like, yeah, I'm into, I do Muay Thai, and, I'm into Krav Maga, and be like, you ever maybe we could work out together sometime. And he was like, yeah, okay, whatever, guy. Get out of here.
That's why I always say, if you look at Bobby, you say it to him, he'd be like, kid. Yeah, kid. I'll figure something out for you, kid. I'll figure something out. That's his go-to. He's like, this little finger, which means he's lying. He waves his finger. He's like, it took me 4 years to realize that's his lie.
That's his tell.
When he tells you something, you go, I'm like, you lying, you son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
By the way, I do like how you made these mugs for lefties.
I'm not a lefty, but
I know, but the logo is out here. Like you have to be a lefty to show the logo. By the way, this your coffee is all over Tacoma FD season 3.
I saw that. Yeah, I talked to Jason. He was like, "Dude, look at that." I'm like, "I know. You're welcome, babe." He's like, he was all excited.
Was it in the trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Hold on. Guys, keep playing.
Stipe's getting yelled at by his wife.
Anytime we see him go to the watch, that means he's being texted by his wife.
Steve, so you saw us busting each other's balls prior to starting the recording for the podcast. And I got to imagine, so you came up with your Broken Lizard comedy group. So I got to imagine that had to be fun. You talked about how you guys kind of bust each other's balls on set. So like, what was it like when Super Troopers kind of broke and you guys started getting a little bit more notoriety and everything like that? And you were with all your friends. So what was that like?
It was pretty fucking awesome. Like,
yeah,
you know, like, I mean, we're friends from college. And then, you know, we made a movie. We raised about $150,000 to make a movie before Super Troopers. And that didn't sell. And this is in the 90s when like independent film was the thing.
What was that one called?
Puddle Cruiser.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
He's looking it up. Don't listen to that bullshit. It's all.
Oh, that's still more than you, Stipe.
Hey,
that's what I was asking. I would like.
Don't
to know.
worry,
I like
Steve. I've seen clips.
He's a professional.
I'm gonna really fucking kill you, Renee. You
go ahead, Steve. Love to hear your answer.
So we made Super Troopers. We got the money from the first movie to make Super Troopers, and it came out in the theaters. Like we sold it Sundance, came out in the theaters, and it did relatively well for a movie that has no stars in it or anything like that. I think it made $18 million at the box office, and it got us a green light on our next movie. And so, but a few years went by, and like we didn't realize anything was happening, but DVDs were being passed around. And, it was on cable and stuff. But what we started to discover, I remember the first time it happened, the 5 of us were walking down Columbus Avenue or Amsterdam Avenue on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And a dude came running out of a bar and he was like, "Holy shit, you're the Super Troopers." We were like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I'm the bartender. Get in here. You're drinking for free." And we were like, "Sweet." And that was around like year 3. It had been out for about 3 years at that point. And that was the first time we got recognized. And then like slowly it just started happening that like, especially when we're all together. And then in certain locations, like at sporting events, it would happen a lot. And then like, at, rock concerts, any like kind of arena, anywhere where people like to have fun. That's, that's what would happen. And then, like I said, like a lot of military people started coming up to us and it was cool because we were like, 5 best friends from college and we had done this thing, which was like, when you're hanging out with your friends, just drinking beers and you're like, "Man, that's funny. We should turn this into a movie or something. Or like people should film us." And this thing started happening. People started responding to it. And, and then, it kind of culminated when we made Beer Fest and we actually got to film a movie. We were just partying the entire time. And, and that did well. And then we made Super Troopers 2. And it's, it's kind of been a dream job to just get to work with my friends.
Yeah, I remember like I had Super Troopers on DVD. And like you said, it was probably a couple of years after it first came out because I remember it was like the very beginning of me being in college, I think is when I started hearing about Super Troopers and then finally saw it. And then Beer Fest came out at the back end of my college career. So it was like you were right in that wheelhouse of I was probably the target demographic for those kinds of movies. So
yeah.
What? You went to Colgate, right?
Yeah.
I went to your rival college.
Where'd you go?
Crest.
Oh, wow. That was.
Did you like that?
So bad.
That was great.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Oh my God.
By the way,
Steve, did you prepare that joke?
I did. I was so excited.
But good.
It was terrible. I know it was. I know it was gonna be terrible. That's why I did it.
Steve, if you need a writer for season 4, Stipe is ready to go.
I did good improv. I did some good improv.
No, I just said you got jokes for coming off the cuff.
No, not jokes, but just improv.
Oh yeah. I know Stipe. There are some great improvs from Stipe.
Yeah,
I believe it. He's a fireman.
Yeah, and that's true.
We bust
Actually,
balls. That's what
funny
we do.
is that when with Eugene, Mark, and Gabe, like doing an episode with them, and with Steve and Kevin, it was just so funny. It was like legit being at a fire station. It was just the humor and just the way they talked. Like Mark was sitting right there, like he's joking around, all of a sudden he farts. I'm like, am I in a station right now? Like, this is amazing. Like, I love this. I mean, it was like being at the station. The humor and just the mentality. It was great.
Yeah, well, it has to be. It's like I've worked on other people's comedy movies where everybody's so serious and so tense, and people are yelling at each other, and you're like, how are you supposed to actually make a comedy here? Like, people are supposed to be in good moods and joking around and laughing. So we try to set the tone and make it fun.
No, yeah, it was honestly, it was just, that was one thing about not even with people acting, but just even the people behind the scenes. Like, they were just everyone was so nice and so helpful, and just, they were great. Like the one girl, I felt, how I am. I'm more so weird. One girl's like, hey, we're getting in Starbucks. I'm like, do you want a coffee? I'm like, no, I'll get it myself. She's like, sit down, I'll get your coffee. I'm like, okay. I'm like, chai tea latte, cold. I just felt weird. I didn't need someone to give me.
Yeah, what was that you ordered?
Chai tea latte.
Mm-hmm.
Cold.
Iced.
You always make fun of John's.
Well, because his is like a macchiato caramel bullshit with the side of skim milk, margarita, skinny thingy. I have no idea.
It's a lot of words.
There's a lot going on.
What was that?
You just ordered that yourself. They both sounded like the same drink to me.
Thank you.
Yes. It's
you know what? I think we're
don't
done.
apologize. Don't apologize for liking nice things. That's all I gotta say.
We're done with
no. What I was gonna say was, so I've heard a ton of times from Stipe and Jamie about the firehouse and how they bust each other's balls when they're in the firehouse and they're trying to pass the time and trying to keep things light despite a very tense job when it can become very tense. So you said on set, you guys are busting balls. Like, did you like go to any firehouses, check out any firefighters, like see kind of their interactions to like kind of get a vibe of like how you wanted the vibe of the show to be? Or did you guys kind of go off of what you had heard, or how did that go?
No, I mean, and it's funny because I said we were very professional about this, but no, we did the exact same thing we did for Super Troopers and did not.
Well, isn't your
two for two?
Who is it? Your brother? Whose brother-in-law or someone's a friend? Yeah.
So cousin Bill, Kevin's cousin, is a firefighter in West Haven, Connecticut. He's a lieutenant. And, he had always said, you guys should do, like, I know you guys think cops are funny, but firefighters are funny. Like, we're funnier. And
no question.
And so like when we decided to do this show, when we sold it to the network, we called him up and basically just interviewed him, and asked him a million questions. And it's like, and he just told us about the ins and outs of firefighter world. He's like, there is a hierarchy and the guys respect the hierarchy, and they're prepared, but there's downtime, and so they do fuck around. He's like, we gamble on everything, sometimes it's chat. And he was like, we will gamble if it's raining outside, and there's water coming down the window. We'll bet which raindrop is going to make it to the bottom first. Like, that's how desperate we are to find shit to do. And so, we would take his firefighter, like, he had a bunch of firefighter stories that then we would take and make them, comedy versions. Like, I was talking about the kid who's tweaked out on drugs. Bill had a real story where they had a guy who was messed up in a car accident, and I think his head was bleeding and his throat was bleeding, and the guy was on PCP, and Bill reached in to help him out, and the guy broke his thumb and then went to the next finger, and he was so big and strong, Bill had both hands and couldn't release his grip, and the dude broke the next finger. And then I think he had to punch the guy in the face or something. But we were like, all right, what's the funny version of that?
Actually, that version is pretty funny. As somebody who didn't get his fingers broken.
Yeah, I mean, this is true. No, yeah, it's on the fire station. You talk about stories and stuff. It's so funny because I always tell people this, like you could leave $100 on the table and it'll stay there forever. No one will ever touch it.
Yeah.
But you leave a piece of cake, bro, that thing will get slivered down to there's like just the smallest slice of cake you'll see in your entire life.
People are just taking
little, but legit, there'll be $1,000 on the table. No one's gonna touch it. It'll be dust on it, but there's like a piece of
leave a meatball sub in the fridge without your name on it.
Gone.
Fucking gone
within 30 seconds.
That was a question. What's the fridge situation like? You got to have your name on.
You better have your name
it's
on
not
it.
part of a community.
No. Yeah.
By the way, I just wrote down sliver of cake.
There you go.
This is what happens. Like when we shot the pilot, we were in a real fire station, and everybody from the provies up to the chief had stories to tell us. And that, you know what? So to answer your question, actually, when we shot the pilot, we shot for a week in a real station house. And that was pretty eye-opening because it was cool to get the chief's perspective. Because he's like, you don't understand. I did all that bullshit for 20 years. And now I'm the chief. And now I have guys coming to me complaining about, getting pranked too hard. And I've got to, on the one hand, I've got to be like, hey, you guys can't prank each other that hard. On the other hand, I've got to be like, don't be a fucking pussy. Like we all. Everybody has stories. And so it's like after the first season, we met all these firefighters who were just downloading all these stories to us. And it's like the creative list gets longer and longer so that the show honestly writes itself. And that's these things like sliver of cake are like a fun thing. It's like, could you imagine if we did an episode where Granny's got a special cake and we just keep slicing little slivers of the cake off him and he knows something's going on. He's trying to catch, that's TV. It's like you can write a 10-minute little story about that,
Yeah, no, it's so funny. But with you and Kevin, is that where you guys met? Kevin Sfarva.
Okay.
From Super. Did you guys meet in college? Is that where you guys met?
Yeah, we met in college. He and Jay were in a fraternity, and Eric and I went, so Jay plays Thorny in Super Troopers, Kevin's Farva, and then Eric, who played Rabbit, and I were a year below those guys, and we joined the fraternity.
Ooh, was there some crazy stuff happen? Like, did he make you do a crazy initiation, like a goat or something?
Yeah, with us, what they did,
like a goat.
With us, it was a sheep, and
I'm just general about it.
And what they did was they walked a sheep. They had all of the pledges, the prospective pledges there on commitment night, sitting on the floor in the foyer in the living room, right? And it's all dark in there and everything. And then one of the brothers walks through with the sheep and passes the sheep through the room. We're like, okay. And then another brother walks by with a basket of condoms and starts handing them out and take one. And now, guys were freaking out. Once we became a brother, what we didn't, you look behind the curtain, they rent the sheep from a farm, they take it off the truck, they walk him through the house, and he comes around to the parking lot and gets back on the truck and
that's awesome.
Yeah, our fraternity was mostly about, we had a pledge period, but it was really we just partied.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it.
Were you guys all theater majors or?
No. Which is a really polite way of saying, are you guys all total pussies or what?
Not what I meant, but go ahead. You can run with that.
That's the way it feels. No, they have no theater major there at Colgate. They might now, but back then they didn't. I think they had a theater minor. I was a different kind of pussy. I was a painting major. I was an art major. And the other guys, Kevin was I think he was political science. And in fact, Stipe, I don't know if you know this, but he's a lawyer in 2 states. He passed the bar in 2 states.
What?
Holy shit! Farva's a lawyer in 2 states.
He's funny, dude. He's funny. I love that guy. He was so funny. He's like, so yeah, when you come back, you better win that title, right? You're not gonna lose, right? I'm like, Jesus, no pressure. I don't know, make me feel awkward right now. He's just like, he didn't care. It was great.
Well, it's kind of crazy though. You guys are all in the same frat at a college, and you were an art major. Everyone's all over the place, and then you form this comedy troupe. Like, how did that come about?
So we smoked a lot of pot and
right way. Okay.
We just liked to laugh. And now I wasn't friends with Kevin. We were in the same fraternity, but the short version is is there was like a student theater group, and the founder of it was going away for a semester abroad, and he wanted to keep it going. And so he found a bunch of directors to direct shows for the for his theater group while he was gone. And he asked Jay to do a show, and Jay and Kevin decided to do a comedy group, a sketch comedy group. And so I auditioned for the comedy group, and Kevin didn't like me very much at the time. And but I auditioned for the group, and I was so fucking good that I got in. And so we did a sketch comedy show at Colgate, and it was awesome. Like the first night there were probably like 14 people there, and then the second night there were like 50, and then the third night was sold out, and then the fourth night we had extra seating and still had to turn people away, and it was just great. We realized we had something, you know. Yeah. And so, and then we became friends, and you know, because that was like that was my junior year in college, and then in New York City. So Kevin and Jay graduated, and then I dropped out my senior year, which is fucking stupid. But
I think you're doing all right.
It worked out.
I think you're doing all right.
The good thing was that so then I joined Kevin and Jay, and they were like, "You want to do this show? Should we start the group up in New York?" They're in New York City, and that's where I was from. So when I dropped out, I was at my parents' house, and I would sleep on Jay and Kevin's couch, and we put on our first show in the summer. That summer after I dropped out, and it did great. And then, it was cool. Cause so we played in this, it's funny. So like, we were basically like, I think like an 11-person group, and it was like 9 guys and like 2 girls. And we went around trying to find places to let us perform. And the only place that would take us was a gay cabaret club
John's probably been there.
In the West Village. Well, listen, this is a legendary place. Like Woody Allen was discovered there.
Okay.
Barbara Streisand was discovered there.
Oh,
and
that's
so
pretty sweet.
It was a cabaret club, and then upstairs was like a 2-drink minimum place. And so we started performing there, and it was only like, I think it sat like 60 people. And the first night they gave us like 3 Mondays that in June. It was either Mondays or Wednesdays, but I think it was Mondays because it was not a good night. And the first night we sold it out with all of our recently graduated college friends, and they drank that place out of everything. And at the end of the night, like the entire place was covered with empty beer bottles, and the waiters were sweating, and they had made so much money that the club said, okay, you know what, we're going to give you Mondays and Saturday nights.
Oh, badass.
And so then we did a Saturday night show. The same thing happened, sold them out of beer. And then they said, we'd like to extend you for the summer after that show. And then after the next show, and the same thing happened, they gave us a 2-year contract.
Holy shit. Crap.
Yeah. And so it was like, it was, we realized we started to understand the way things work. You get, butts and seats and they make money. Then you get to do another show. It was a blast. It was, I miss those days so much.
So born and raised in New York. Is that what you?
Yeah. Born and raised.
Okay. And now you're out in LA.
Yeah.
How long have you been out in LA for?
Since 2004, when Club Dread bombed at the box office. When Super Troopers was a success, we were like, yeah, I'd never have to leave New York. And then Club Dread bombed at the box office, and we're like, all right, we got to move to LA. So came out here and have not looked back.
Okay.
Well, how'd you guys come up with the name Broken Lizard?
I wish there was a great story.
Yeah, that's just one.
It's one of the questions we get asked the most. The truth is, we had like as dumb guys will do, we had like an elaborate 48-hour naming session where everybody put like 20 names in a hat, and we had like 150 names or whatever, and we had like a big NCAA basketball tournament style tournament to see which was gonna win, and we finally settled on I think it was Chocolate Speedo was the name.
Count me in.
Yeah, and then at the very last second, Jay was getting the programs, the flyers made up, and I guess he chickened out, and he was just like, Broken Lizard. Like he literally blew it. That's
That's all right. Hey, it took us 4 years to come up with a podcast name, and all we did was pick a form of a punch, basically.
Yeah, that's what we did. Yeah.
Oh, it's just awkward buddies.
That's true.
I mean,
but yeah, I mean,
you thought of the name at 5:30 in the morning.
I was running on the treadmill. It was like clear.
You texted us at 5:30 in the morning. I was pissed.
Sorry, I had to say it.
How long have you guys known each other?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, Jamie, we've worked together at the station before. He left to become a chief. Probably what, 10, 12 years?
10, 11, something like that.
10, 11 years. And then John here, I've known probably what, 7 or 8?
I don't know.
Well, he was actually my wife's friend, and then we met, and now we're better friends. And then he's with my wife.
That's true.
So, and plus he just uses me for things.
No, when did it would have been a couple years before you fought Arlovsky. So how long ago was that?
I think it was like
probably like 8 years. It's probably something like that.
Yeah. And so then, well, we talked about this, a quick story version of how this all came about. We were going to the World Series with Cleveland Indians for the Chicago Cubs, driving to Chicago. And I came up with like, hey guys, we should do a podcast, because we literally drove for 5.5 hours and we did not stop talking. We just talked back and forth. There's no like dead periods. I'm like, man, we should do this. Be a great idea. And here we are 4 years later.
It took us 4 years. We're slow movers.
It took 4 years to get
I legit bought the stuff like the week after we talked about this, and it sat in a box for like 4 years. But it's great stuff.
Wait, you bought podcast equipment?
Yeah, I have all the podcast equipment for 4 years. It sat there. And finally, after one of my fights, I looked at my wife. I'm like, I'm doing a fucking podcast. I don't care anymore. She's like, do what you want. And then my new management team I work with, they're like, the first thing they said to me was like, hey, great to meet you. I think you should start a podcast. I was like, ah. And it was legit like the next day after I told my wife I wanted to start a podcast. So it was just great. It was just great kind of timing. Just I'm so excited.
Sure.
We're gonna fire John, and then Stipe is gonna fire me. So those be a shakeup. It's fine.
Yeah, John's always on the cusp. It just depends how short his shorts
like
are.
7 times.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine.
It depends how short his shorts are. It depends if he's being a diva. If he shows up on time, sometimes he doesn't show up. I mean,
I actually almost forgot we were recording tonight.
You text me about it.
I know, yesterday. And then I
texted me this morning.
I don't see.
Bro, I get punched in the face. I should forget way more than you.
I know. It's not good. I got home and I was like, I think I'm supposed to do something tonight. And I was like, oh shit, I got to make sure I go to this.
Yeah.
It's bad. I got to put reminders in my phone all the time.
Well, I pray for that. I don't do it with my daughter and she's at school. I'm like, what am I going to do? Oh shit, I pick up my daughter.
Yeah. I guarantee you that'll happen at one point in your life. You'll forget to pick up your daughter. You don't think
because I have to call the general upstairs. That will destroy me.
She's giving you an agenda.
Yeah.
We've seen that list.
Yes, we all seen it.
So Steve, when you guys are coming up with projects and things that you guys want to create and work on, like, how do you figure out who is going to play what role? Or do you kind of like write roles for yourselves, or is it I'm sure it's a collaborative process, but like, how do you decide that Kevin gets to become Farva and you become Mac, and how does that happen? Or
it depends. Each project is different with so we made this movie Puddle Cruiser before Super Troopers, and in that, like, I play the romantic lead. And it's, we weren't good enough writers back then to realize that you really have to, if you're going to make it a romantic thing, you have to make that storyline super funny. Plus, I wasn't like a good actor either. So like, it was just kind of boring to do the love stuff. And like, look, it was great. You get to, a free makeout and all that, and and but then it's like, all the other guys you're watching the movie, they're getting the laughs, and then you come on screen with the girl and everybody settles down like, oh, a love story again. And so when we were making Super Troopers, I was like, I don't want to do that again. I want to do the fun stuff. I want to be the crazy guy. And then, but we all decided to read all the parts. And so like a few of the other guys read for the role of Farva. And then Kevin went, like, we just kept reading through the script, and then Kevin went. I was supposed to go after Kevin to read Farva, but once he read it, I was like, there's no point. There's no point.
You're literally Farva.
Yeah.
This guy was made for this.
You want a leader cola.
He's like, I know I said he's a lawyer in real life, but he's also like thick like that in real life, like stubborn and like blockheaded and, obtuse, like just there are times where you're like, you just want to. I was watching footage today from episode 12 of the show. And he's being so annoying. And you can see that I'm getting irritated on camera. Like, this is with the real life Kevin. He's just like being disruptive and thick-headed. And, anyway. So sometimes you're just born into a role like that. But then, we'll try to I think for the next movie, Club Dread, then we made Kevin the romantic lead. And, it was all right. Like, we were trying to mix things up, and then we're like, you know what, let's just go back. Let's do things and do like what our sweet spot is. And so, I think with Tacoma FD, we just realized that Kevin and I just have a good, butting heads relationship, like you guys.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, which is good because every fire department has that. Like literally every fire department has the butting heads personalities where, the guys will put their lives on the line for each other, but when you go back to the station, they want to fucking murder each other. So,
right. Well, it's a family.
Yep, exactly. Well, the one thing when I came there to see where you told me how the guys do your the scenes or the episodes, I'm gonna say, is that it's not one guy writes all the episodes. It's like him, Kevin, and then I think another guy. You have 3 or 4 way. You guys all write a different episode.
Oh well, we have I think we have 9 writers.
Oh,
and
really?
Then, and so the way it goes, Kevin and I, we have the list, the big creative list, and so we'll go in on the first day of the writers' room with all these ideas, and we've started to map out what the episodes are, like A plot, potential B plot, and then in a few cases we don't have a B plot, and in some cases it's like the A plot and the B plot don't really match, but we have a bunch of ideas, and then we just start riffing on them with the writers, and just literally just throwing out, this is what we do. It's like your hangout, when you're hanging out with your friends and you're having beers and you're just telling jokes, and that's what's going on. We're laughing, riffing on, oh my God, what if that was the situation? Holy shit, the sliver of cake. That's hysterical. And this could happen. And then, each thing just slowly starts to take place. And then eventually, we outline it, and then we start to assign the episodes to writers. And each writer will get 1 or 2 episodes to write. And then, Kevin and I will write episodes too. And then, but our job is to do the rewrites on all the scripts. So we give notes and have all the writers redo their scripts and do extra drafts and stuff. And then once they're in place, then Kevin and I go through and we polish and rewrite all the scripts and get it exactly to our liking. Because, sometimes writers they get attached to things, or, maybe we might feel like things need to be punched up with jokes. And also their contract runs out. They only have a certain amount of weeks that they get paid, and then they're done.
So I was just going to ask that. I can geek out on that side of things for days, like the writing side. When you guys have a show like this, do you get to choose the writers that you bring in, or does somebody else make that decision for you and you have to go in and try to work with these people?
It's, we have a bunch of writers that we've worked with. But, assembling a writer's room, before we made the TV show, we had only ever really written with Broken Lizard. And so, we'd done individual projects, and then Kevin and I had done a shit ton of movie and TV projects together. But this was the first thing that had gotten a green light to series. And so they said, okay, it's time to hire, a staff, pretty good staff. And so the first thing we did was we hired a couple of writers who had been showrunners. So I don't know if you know, like showrunner is like whenever you see a TV show, there's somebody called a showrunner who is the top. They're higher than a writer, basically. And what their job is to deliver that show from day one all the way to the end. And they oversee, and as the showrunner, they oversee creatively, and then they oversee the technical stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny you say, because John was a fluffer. Is that kind of like you're saying in porn?
It's kind of like an intellectual fluffer. Yeah.
I'll take the intellectual part.
You're just the fluffer.
You're a fluffer.
Intellectual. Let's focus on that.
With your short shorts.
But it's like a fluffer and the porn star and the cleanup person.
Oh.
At the end.
He's a fluffer and the cleanup.
See, Jamie's the cleanup guy.
I'll be the cleanup guy.
He looks like Mr. Clean, so it works.
We're veering off track.
Yeah. It's so bad.
Oh no, it's about
a little caveat to what you're talking about, Steve. What's the start to finish time on an episode? You guys shoot it in a week and then you move on to the next episode, or how long does it take?
So it's like, I mean, it's not that clear. The answer is not totally clear because it's like, yeah, we shoot it for a 1 week, like, so an episode we shoot in 4.5 days. We shoot 2 episodes every 9 days and then we have a day off. And the day off for us is like to start planning the next shoot. And so, but, writing an episode takes, a couple months, and then editing the episodes, like basically it's like 13 months from start to finish. So like, I think we started in September, the writers group of last year, and we're going to wrap post-production in October. So like the series will start running and we'll still be finishing up episodes 11, 12, and 13, editing and sound mixing and stuff. So it's kind of a fluid process, but like the writing is the first part.
Yeah.
And then, we start shooting and we still have some rewrites on like 11, 12, and 13. And then, and we're doing those while we're shooting the first few episodes. And then we get through our 13 episodes shooting. And that's the next stage. And then we go into post-production, which is the editing and the mixing and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
So it's a long process.
So real quick, what episode am I?
You are episode 4. So if you, I guess the date.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like episode 8. Right, I know. But we need to, that's kind of like shooting your load right off the bat, Stipe.
Well, I mean, I think you should. It's what I do. That's how I got my wife pregnant. Twice.
Right, exactly. Times. We wanted to build up to you, Stipe.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Listen, though, we talk about you being the champ. So I don't know how you're going to become the champ again by October, but you got to do it.
I got you. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Always will.
So I'm looking at
no pressure though. Thank you. What are you doing, John?
I'm looking at IMDb to see if there are episodes posted on what day it would come out. What the date would be. I don't know if that.
Well, it'd be
whatever. It's 4 Thursdays after the 16th.
Let's see.
3 Thursdays. It'll be the 16th.
October 8th. October 8th.
October 7th.
October 7th.
7th, 6th. One of the two.
This is my favorite part of the podcast. It's when the Jabs podcast does math.
Listen, I was right. One day off. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, we were trying to do math last
You know why? Because I went to 31st. It was only 30 days in September. Son of a bitch.
God. As far as the modern calendar goes, we're not experts either. So.
Yes. Oh, by the way, too, you were talking about, your degree in college. You said Kevin was going for political science, this and that. John's got a degree in sheep.
Oh, he did.
He did. That's fine.
I don't. Did he get a? Here you go, Stipe. Here, you'll like this one with your crest joke. Did he get a BA? Now think about it.
I got it.
That was great.
See,
that was great.
It's on a whole different level.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I can't make it funny, but Steve comes on.
You make it funny, but man, it's just a different level.
Oh, why? Because he was in Super Troopers?
Yes.
Yeah, you're 100% right. 100%.
Yes.
I mean, come on, Stipe. Your crest joke I've heard a million times. BA, to come up with that, degree in sheep and me do the math. I mean, come on, that's pretty good.
That's a good connection. I feel like we got a connection.
It's a second level. There's a second level too.
Yeah.
I'm happy to throw it up in the air, and he just took it. Means a lot.
I'll tell you what, though, we have some great guest stars this year, like Dave Keckner. Keckner, he's in like Anchorman. He plays a champ.
Oh Jesus!
Oh
yes.
yeah. I saw you guys post. Yeah.
Whammy. Yeah.
100%.
That dude came in his improv. Not to take away from Stipe's improv, but like. You get lost. Like this guy will just start talking and just go. And he'll go until, I was directing that episode too. And I would just let him talk. And eventually he'd be like, do you have it? I'm like, yeah, no, for sure. I'm not going to call cut though. That was like some next level stuff.
What I think of when I think of Keckner is he has like a monologue in the movie Out Cold, where it's a snowboarding movie. I think Zach Galifianakis is in it. And he's talking about the presidents and he's like, and then FDR came through with the New Deal or whatever he says. And he talks it's like at the very end of the movie, like after the credits. And it's like this 2-minute monologue. And it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But there's an art to the improv that obviously you guys have experience doing that is not easy by any means.
It's not. And it's a gift. And like some of those guys, like Kevin and I are not, or I'm not even. Kevin's great at it, and the guys that Stipe acted with are awesome at it, and then you've got these guys who come in, like who have been in the biggest movies, the biggest comedy movies, and they're just everything they say is phenomenal. It's like an embarrassment of riches.
The one you guys are doing the one scene, I'm not gonna say what it was, but with you and Kevin, and you guys are just going back and forth and just saying stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing whatever I can to hold it in. I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, this is the funniest show I've ever seen. Like, it was so nonchalant, and it legit looked like you're just sitting there at the table talking. Like, just the stuff you're saying, I was literally about to cry. It was so funny. I'll show you guys the episode after we're done here, but I was like, it was amazing. Just, it was such a great experience. And just, oh man.
How hard is it for you not to break character, or have you come up with like a way to like force yourself to not laugh?
There are times where you just can't help it, and just because something is like I was watching footage of so Stipe acted with Gabe Hogan, who plays Ike Crystal, and it's like that dude. It's amazing because he's like he's 6'4". Great looking guy, ripped.
Thank you.
And it's
Gabe, sorry.
By the way, let me just say something about Stipe. Here's what, when I noticed from like watching footage, I had forgotten about this, but like Stipe talks about his hair a lot. Like he'll come in and he'll be like, my hair game is on point today. Does he do that with you guys?
I've heard him say that before. Yes.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, and honestly, the night that, we all gathered here to watch you fight Stipe, we were all marveling at your hair, your pre-fight hair.
Yes.
Oh, with the hat, it was sticking like straight.
Yeah.
Like
the whole thing was good. It was like,
intimidation factor. It didn't work, but it was for intimidation factor.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He didn't. No, he didn't care at all.
He, in fact, I think it angered him.
It probably did. I'm not gonna lie. Probably just a little bit.
But anyway, like I was watching this footage with the scene with Gabe, and it's like sometimes the dude locks in on something, and it's just like I couldn't stop laughing. I was crying every time he opened his mouth. I would fucking lose my shit, and it just happens. It's like, and it happens for everybody, and it's great when it does. Yeah. It's you need that. You need that levity, and it reminds you also like why you're doing what you do. It's like it's not just a job, and you're not just working. Like the whole point of life is to enjoy life. So it's like let's have fun while we're doing this stuff.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it's crazy with Gabe too. He's like you wouldn't know this, but he actually has Tourette's, which you would never know. And then I was like, he actually told me about it. I had no idea. He actually had, Tourette's, blah, blah, blah. And of course, me being a dick, I'm like, well, fuck shit, cock balls. He's like, yes, exactly. Like, I just didn't know. Like, I just, just because that's who I am. And he laughed, and I was like, oh, he's like, but him doing the acting and everything, that actually has, like, really calmed it down. And then, I know it's a little bit, but I mean, he dude, this shit he says, I'm like, where did he come up with it? Like you said, it's so hard not to, like I'm sitting there with Mark, and we're in the back watching it, and him and Eugene, and like when Candace was there, they're just going at it and talking smack, and me and him are like crying, but holding it in with all our mights because like just coming out of the mouth is amazing. It's so funny.
Yeah, and then you smacked him across the face.
Yes, it was terrible.
That's probably a good sign though too, when your co-stars and stuff are trying to hold back laughter or trying to keep a straight face. It's like, all right, we're probably onto something. If we're gonna sit here and about to lose it, I got to imagine somebody at home watching is probably about to laugh their ass off too when they see it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's like that's the funny thing. One of the fun parts about making comedy is like the crew is trying to hold it in. Sometimes you can see that you're onto something, and it's awesome. Like when the director calls cut and then the whole crew busts out laughing. It does suck when you do a scene and they call cut and nobody laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coffee.
And that happens.
Have you and like I've never seen when I'm seeing them for 3 days I was there, no one get like really mad, I think 1 ounce of mad. But have you guys ever like got into it again, like kind of like arguing match? Like on scene, like you're like, listen, that's just stupid. Why would and just going back and forth and
Kevin and me, or like
Kevin and you, or just in general, just anyone. You don't say any names, but
no, I mean
it's like,
No, like I think something we realized, especially working with five guys, I mean, when you're making a movie with five guys, like everybody's got an opinion, and we can all be pretty hard-headed, and like everybody's got a different sense of humor. And so like, and especially when, the way we came up, we didn't have much money making the movies. Like, Public Cruiser and Super Troopers and Club Dread were all super tight budgets. And so you had like 2 takes for everything. And, it's like you would just argue about all this stuff. When Kevin and I started making this TV show, we realized that it's like for 13 episodes, you're essentially making like 4 movies worth of material. And in the writing of every episode, we have disagreements. In the shooting of every episode, we have disagreements. And in the editing of every episode, we have disagreements. And it's like, when we're writing now, we're just like, it's not worth it to argue. And so it's like, and we know this now, like we've matured. So like, we're never trying to win a fight for the sake of winning it. Like we realize the whole thing is to just make a good, show. And so when we're writing, we're like, all right, let's just put this in the script and we'll shoot it both ways. And then when we're shooting, we're like, let's just shoot it both ways and we'll decide while we're editing. And then it's like, when we're editing is kind of the final stage. And there are people around, there are editors and, we can show people and they'll be like, oh, that's the funnier thing. And you're like, okay. And it's like, and if your thing was the funnier one, don't be a dick about it. And, and also
not with me, I would definitely be the dick about it. My shit was so much better.
Yeah. But it's funny because it's like, in the movies we used to have this, like we'd do test screenings and there'd be certain jokes. And if one guy's like, I think it's funny, and another guy's like, I don't think it's funny, then what you do is you keep it in and you test it in front of a live audience. And, you screen it for an audience. And then it's like, it's nerve wracking because your joke is coming up. And then and if your joke does well and gets the laugh, like, because we're all sitting in a row next to each other, it's like you'll lean out and sit back. But even if you lose, if your thing sucks, you'll still the guy's looking at you and you're like, you acknowledge it. And it's just, it's the way it is. So Kevin and I, we don't really fight, But
his kids duty pants you though on Thanksgiving.
Dude. I told that was the last time. Honestly, that was the last time that I used to go commando, and I had forgotten a belt. And yeah, his daughters pulled my pants down. I was cradling my newborn baby, and his daughter pulled my pants down. I was standing in front of the TV watching football, cradling my baby, and they pulled my fucking pants down.
Oh my!
And this was at Thanksgiving. At
Thanksgiving, and Heffernan was basically passed out from turkey. And booze, and he was just like kind of laughing at me, and I was like, "Is there no fucking discipline? This is why the kids." So I had to block my dick with my baby and stuff.
On that note, I feel like we have.
That's it. That's it.
Where we gotta cut it right there.
Yes.
That's the best way we could have ended.
Yes.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Steve, thank you so much for coming on, man. Taking some time out for us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we're trying to go with some other subjects, but I was so involved with that, just asking questions about everything, and just that was awesome. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So everybody, make sure you check out Tacoma FD on September 16th. It's at 10 p.m. Right? Is when it's on.
10 p.m.
Eastern time.
10 p.m. Eastern and Western time. Depending where you are.
Yeah,
there you go. So September 16th. Tacoma FD season 3 premiere. Make sure you check it out. Stipe will be in episode 4, which according to Jab's podcast math is October 7th. We think we're right.
Yes.
So we'll go with October 7th. But Steve, let everybody know where they can find you on any social media or anything, maybe the comedy group website or anything like that. Twitter, I'm at Steve Lemme. And then Instagram, I'm Steve_Lemme. Let's see what else. Seasons 1 and 2 of Tacoma FD are on HBO Max. If anybody have HBO Max?
You do?
There we go.
I do too.
I can watch.
Unfortunately, I bought it one time for a free week trial to get a movie.
You got it.
I never took it off.
Oh.
But HBO Max is good. HBO Max is good.
Yeah, it is. And my wife hasn't noticed, so I'm just going to keep it.
But you could probably afford to keep HBO Max, Stipe.
I'm very frugal.
He is a very frugal man, but I'm gonna need those login credentials. So I can
Yeah, I bet you will. Yeah. Listen, my daughter's lucky I don't have to use her diaper again.
So-
but good luck with that.
So thanks for coming on, Steve. We'll give the old run through of our stuff. If you want to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we got an email in a while.
@podcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Jabs Podcast. Like, subscribe, and click the bell for post notifications. You can find Stipe on all social media platforms @Stipe Miocic. You can find Jamie at Mekalek, Mekalek. You can find me at JP Chubak. It's like Chewbacca without the CA. And make sure you find us on Instagram and Twitter @Jabs Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. Steve, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Great talking to you. And we hate Rick Russo.
Yeah.
We do.
I mean, real quick, if you need a stunt guy or something like that, I'm here. Don't forget about me, okay? Like another episode or movie, I'm here.
You're the guy. Listen, how could we refuse? How could we refuse you?
I'll come on there and start cracking skulls.
He'll actually hit people. Right
As long as Francis is in there, I'll be good.
Jesus. On that note, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.